everyone. Welcome to the 2024 East Milton Neighborhood Association Candidate Forum. Thank you so much for coming and taking your evening with us. So we have an exciting lineup of candidates tonight. We have the agenda in the back. If you didn't receive one, there's a big pile of them back there. This is a wonderful neighborhood tradition that we started in 2016, so we're so happy that we've continued it all these years forward, and we appreciate that you all come out each year for it. We want to make sure to thank Pastor Shelley in the East Church for letting us use this wonderful space. She's amazing. So the East Church loves to host community events and is always willing to do this, so we really appreciate them being such a good neighbor. Thank you to Milton Access TV for always coming out and recording this for us. This is not recorded live, but it will be up on their amazing YouTube channel. I love their YouTube channel. So Milton Access TV, you can check it out there. So the East Milton Neighborhood Association, we have some board members here tonight. Steve Ryans, Kate 1040, John Cohane, who else is here? Joe O'Neill, Liz Dillon, and Warren Lizio. So guys, raise your hands. And we also have Andy D'Amato, Rich Beeler. Who am I missing? Andy D'Amato, Rich Beeler, and Joe Reardon could not attend tonight, but they are also on our board. So thank you to all of them for all of their hard work. We just have a little statement we wanted to read from the Neighborhood Association, so I'm just going to read that. The East Milton Neighborhood Association recognizes the varied perspectives and opinions within our community. Our board consists of East Milton residents who may hold differing stances on various town matters. We encourage respectful dialogue and collaboration among all members of the community. So since 2015, our objectives have been fostering pride in the neighborhood for Precinct 6 and 7 in the town of Milton, Massachusetts, working for improvement in the quality of the life of the neighborhood, contributing to public safety, improving land, property, sidewalks, and streets within the association, alerting public officials to the needs of the neighborhood and cooperating with them to secure public services, encouraging neighbors to become acquainted, fostering socialization, and building community, educating neighbors and others on issues affecting the neighborhood and advocating on behalf of residents, providing a forum for the discussion of topics relevant to the neighborhood and the town of Milton, and organizing meetings and social events determined by the membership to further the association's purposes. So if you're not a member of the association and you live in the neighborhood, please visit our website and you can sign up there or speak to any one of the board members in the audience. And then ultimately, our goal is to make East Milton an amazing place to live, work, and play for all. And with that, I will turn it over to Steve Ryans, who will be moderating our forum this evening. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Christine. Awesome job. Awesome job. Before we begin, I just want to read a quote that came across very recently. And I've had the privilege of serving Precinct 7 for quite a while and being a member of the Warrant Committee and, of course, being part of the Neighborhood Association. I thought I would read a quote that I came across from Madeleine Albright recently. Democracy is not neat, orderly, or quiet. It requires patience, compromise, and a willingness to listen to those with whom we may disagree. And so one of the professors that I was fortunate to see at my university would always say, please remember, people may not remember what you say or what you do, but they will certainly remember how you make them feel. So with that in mind, let's be respectful and kind to our folks that are out here, because it takes a lot of courage to volunteer or to stand up here sweating with no air conditioning. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. So we're going to try to make this as easy as possible as we go through with the town meeting members and candidates that are running. We've got a lot of incumbents, and we've got some new folks that have raised their hand and are throwing their hat in the arenas, which we're really all psyched about. This evening, candidates will be allotted time, which will be strictly enforced for reasons of fairness. In the front, you'll see Kate 1040, I always want to call her Katie O'Neill. Kate, 1040, will have signs that she'll let you know when you're at a minute, 30 seconds, and then when you can kindly adjourn. We ask that the audience be respectful to all candidates, and candidates listed below, sorry, I'm not supposed to read that. It's like Ron Burgundy moment. Thank you. That was my last joke for the evening. So we're going to start off with Precinct 6. In this year, we have 10 seats open or available for election, and each are for a 3-year term. I kindly ask the folks that are here, if you're here, you're running for Precinct 6, if you could please come up to the left side of the stage or the right side of the stage, my right. Please. Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me now? Is that better?
Yes.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Brian. Bear in mind, I'm usually doing this on Zoom, so it's a lot harder to be in person. So if you're here, you're going to please come up. You'll each have a minute. Tell us a little bit about what you would like to do in your position. Thank you. Just say it. Go ahead. Yeah.
Is it too loud? So I'm Dan Gallery, from Precinct 6. I've been a town neighbor, Milton. It's hard to go first. I have been a town meeting member for over 20 years. A long time. Been through a lot of things that we are trying to make the town better. I think all of us want a better town. We might have different ideas about what that is. So I've also been a coach in Milton American baseball, Babe Ruth. I was on the board of the Milton soccer youth program and coach. I really have enjoyed working with all the kids over the years. They're now in their 30s. So some of them are maybe here or going. I know a couple of them who are also running for town meeting. So I support the families, the kids, the schools, the police, and the fire. I mean, we need everybody in this town to continue to be the town that we all love. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jean Lang, and I'm running for re-election, Precinct 6, incumbent. I'm a graduate of Boston College. I've worked as a reporter for years, including for the Associated Press in Boston, mostly at the State House. After my kids were born, I taught part-time at Northeastern University and freelance for the Boston Globe. I also volunteered here in the schools in Milton, mostly at Collicott. I'm currently a realtor with Coldwell Banker here in Milton, where my family and I have lived now for more than 25 years. I like keeping up on town issues, and probably in part because of my training and experience. I'm not afraid to ask tough questions, research answers, and communicate what I've learned. I consider all sides of any issue and try to rely on accurate, solid information. I enjoy representing Precinct 6, and I'm hoping I can continue to do that, so I respectfully ask for your vote on Election Day. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sandy Albright, and Precinct 6. I've been in Milton about 23 years. I live across the highway on Woodchester Drive. I haven't run before, but I think the real reason I'm running now is I just want to be part of the conversation. You know, I like being in Milton. It's been a good town for us, but I think that we can do better, and I at least want to hear what's going on, and if I can participate, even better for me. I truly believe that a town can't be static. You know, you have ups and downs, sideways, but we don't want to be static. Excuse me, we really want to look at what would be the best thing for Milton. Changes, no changes in certain areas, but let's kind of do it together and have a conversation about it. So what I'd like to do is I want to support the building of the new school. I want to create more opportunities for the youth in the neighborhood and create logical, affordable housing. When I did move here in 2021, I'm sorry, 21 years ago, that's the math, to 2001, I went to a housing meeting, and there were all these young graduates from BC there speaking to the planning board saying, we would like to come here and live after we graduate, but we can't afford it. I still see the faces of those 4 young women who did it, and I'd like to be elected to be able to make something like that happen, whatever it is with all of you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. About a half an hour ago, I was Soccer Grandpa Doyle, but now I am John Kiernan, who is a candidate for re-election from Precinct 6. John is an attorney in Boston, as you'll hear, and is teaching at the New England School of Law this evening. So I'll read it in his voice. Make believe I'm John. 3-piece suit, vest, tie, the whole bit. I live in Precinct 6 at 170 Cabot Street with my wife Susan, who is also a town meeting member. I was fortunate enough to have grown up in Milton, attending Milton Public Schools from K through 12. Thereafter, I went to Harvard College and later to Boston University School of Law. My law practice includes 17 years as a prosecutor in the Suffolk District Attorney's Office, including 8 years as the chief of the Homicide Division. In the private practice of law, I've been fortunate enough to practice civil litigation for the firm of Kiernan Trebek. Our firm is 112 attorneys with offices in 12 states, and we specialize in trial work. I also teach advanced criminal procedures at the New England School of Law, which explains my absence this evening because I have a class from 6 to 8. I also served in the Milton Conservation Commission, to which I was appointed in February 1993. I have been the chair of the Conservation Commission since 2009, and I've proudly served as a town meeting member since the early 1900s. He'll like that when he sees this tape, right? You owe it to me, John, since the 1990s. My wife Susan and I have 7 children and 15 grandchildren. Not that wife, Susan. My father was the superintendent of schools for Milton and later was the Massachusetts Commissioner of Education. My mother served on the board of directors of the Milton Hospital. My wife Susan was the chair of the Milton School Committee in the late 1990s and early 2000s. She also served in the school building committee when the town last updated our school facilities. Our charter and mandate is to protect and enhance our treasured natural resources and to assist homeowners in complying with the state law designated to protect these resources under the Natural Wetlands Protection Act. Please support my candidacy for town meeting member for Precinct 6, and I commit to dedicating my efforts to furthering the goals of both public education and the protection of our beautiful natural resources. Thank you.
Very nicely done.
All right. Turns out if you hold the mic down here, it sounds better, so I learned that lesson. I am reading a statement. Sebastian Barbagallo, I hope I pronounced his name correctly. He was unable to make it this evening, but sent us an email, so I will quickly read what he said. He said, my family and I have been proud residents of East Milton for nearly a decade, having moved here almost 10 years ago from nearby location Beale Street in Quincy. As a father to 3 children who are either currently attending or will attend the Milton Public Schools, the well-being and future of our community hold a special place in my heart. My decision to run for town meeting member stems from a desire to actively participate in the civic processes that contribute to the betterment and preservation of the qualities that make our town a cherished home for all who reside here. There are several pressing issues I am particularly passionate about addressing. They are school overcrowding, traffic mitigation, especially in East Milton, and the aviation impact of residing directly beneath the 4R. So again, that was for Sebastian Barbagello.
We'll try it again. I'm going to put it down a little bit lower this time. All right. So thank you very much. I'd like to invite the candidates for Precinct 7 up to the right side, please. In Precinct 7 this year, we have nine seats for 3 years.
Everybody who lives in East Milton is here today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kim Conroy, and I'm running for re-election.
We're going to get started. No timeouts.
Did that count towards my minute? Because I'm reading. I'm down to exactly a minute. Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Conroy, and I'm running for re-election of town meeting member for Precinct 7. I've been a town meeting member since 2017, at which time I was an active member of the Milton Playground Planners. I take my position as town meeting member seriously, both in attendance and understanding the articles put forth by our warrant. I approach each vote with the same fact-based ration and gut instinct that I used to run a successful over $1 billion business as a career, using my heart to help guide decisions and using feedback from my neighbors as I'm a representative for all of P7. I'm not running on a platform, and I don't believe in groups of people running together. We are a town of individuals, and I believe we should be running and voting accordingly. East Milton, West Milton, some people find humor in the divide. Frankly, I don't think our town needs to be any more divided than it already is. We are one Milton. Change in Milton is not only imminent but necessary. I support responsible change that first and foremost ensures the safety and well-being of our current residents. All areas of Milton need to own this change, and the burden can't disproportionately lie in one area. And lastly, I think there's no better return on investment than our schools and the children that attend them. Thank you, Emna, for this event tonight. And good luck to all the candidates.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. My name is Warren Lizio, and I live on Alvin Avenue with my wife, Andrea, and 2 young boys who love soccer and Minecraft a lot more than general hygiene. I grew up in the gritty south end of Boston in the 80s. My parents were a developer and a zoning attorney who were dedicated to reinvigorating a neglected neighborhood without losing its original character. I attended BC High, UMass, and BU. I am an active member of the East Milton Neighborhood Association and the Milton Chamber of Commerce. I own a property management company, and I've been responsible for apartment communities much larger than the Falcone project, both market rate and Section 8. Because I know what bad ideas look like, I committed to door knocking for the Vote No campaign. Also, wouldn't it be selfish if East Milton kept all the MBTA development to itself? East Milton has a lot to be angry about, and with good reason. But we have a lot of good things on the horizon, like the East Milton overlay and the election of John Cohane and Meredith Hall, who will heal and advance our town. I'm concerned with the traffic, with responsible budget shortfalls, and overall with the school condition in parks. So I have and will continue to stand up for East Milton, and please vote for Warren Lizio. Thank you.
So I'm going to keep this quick. My name is Joseph Herbert Curran here on the list. I've lived in Milton a good portion of my life. Moved back here 10 years ago. I've been a town meeting member for 10 years. This door over here kind of represents the way that I do my town meeting information is I knock on doors, I ask my neighbors, I talk to them, I search for answers, and I try to bring coalition to the people who I represent in Precinct 7. And I'm a Troop 8 East Milton, East Congregational Eagle Scout.
Thank you, sir.
Hi there, my name is Amy Flanagan. I live on Wood Street for 24 years. I own and run an advertising and marketing agency. For years, I've worked extensively with the schools and the Milton Foundation for Education. In the recent NBT's TA zoning vote. I was a vocal no vote because I didn't think the plan was equitable for our precinct or smart for our town. But through that experience, I became very concerned with the tenor of the dialogue in Milton and the lack of understanding about East Milton and Precinct 7. I've since co-founded a group called Moving Forward as One Milton with people across precinct, across yes and no votes that were all concerned about equity and East Milton. It was pretty moving to have people from all over town also concerned. We've been working very concrete ways to create understanding, get the needs of residents heard, get more factual information out to everyone, and to come up with a plan that is more equitable across town. I ask for your vote, Amy Flanagan, so I can continue this work and our other precincts' other needs as part of town meeting. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Goggin. I'm running to be a town meeting member for Precinct 7. I'd like to start by thanking the East Milton Neighborhood Association for organizing tonight's forum. As a bit of background, I grew up in Quincy, graduated from Providence College in 2006, served in the Marine Corps from 2006 to 2012, then came back to Boston to attend law school. My wife Katie and I moved to Milton in 2018. We live just across the street in 24 Granite Place with our 3 children, Jimmy, who's 5, Benny, who's 3, and Benny, who's 1. Somebody told me that we had the Irish birth control method for children a minute ago, which I was taking on. There are 2 lessons that I've learned in the Marine Corps that served me well, and I'd like to share those this evening because I think they would help anybody who's a town meeting member. First, although public service can be incredibly challenging, it's one of the most rewarding things a person can do. Second, when people are depending on you to make the right decision, it's your duty to think critically, listen intently, and communicate clearly. If elected, I promise to serve this community to the best of my ability and to work with every member of town meeting to make sure that we address our community's needs. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. When I was young, I was very active in Scouts, and one of the main things that I remember from that was to leave a place better than you found it. When you're 10 and 12 years old, that's a campsite or that's a trail. But now that I'm an adult, the thing that I take that to is the community and the world you live in. So when I started to think about why I wanted around for town meeting, it's really to leave a better place for my children. I have 3 kids that are 7, 5, and 3, and I'm an architect who is going to push very hard for improving the town's resiliency and sustainability. And I'd like to explore creative solutions for the traffic in the area. My name is Hal Munger, and I ask for your vote in the upcoming election.
Stop taking my photo, Ian. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm Elaine Benson. I'm proud to be running for re-election for town meeting. I've served since 2020, and it's been an incredible honor, and I am eager to continue representing our community in Precinct 7. I grew up in Swampscott, Massachusetts, and Milton is now the cherished home of my family in the back of the room, and I'm deeply committed to our town's well-being and prosperity. I've served the community on the personnel board, the town meeting member, master plan implementation committee, the East Milton Working Group, and Sustainable Milton. My professional background provides me with a diverse skill set, including expertise in operations, project management, strategic planning, and community and relationship development. I'm committed to the thoughtful planning and sustainable growth, ensuring adequate school funding while managing finances responsibly. I also prioritize preserving our history and our open spaces, and investing in safer roads and infrastructure. I look forward to continuing to my service to you with integrity and dedication, and I ask for your vote on April 30th. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Christensen. I had a special outfit picked out to wear tonight, but when I got here, I learned that it's inappropriate attire for a church setting. So if you want to see it, you'll have to look for me walking the streets of Milton. As an original co-founder of East Milton Neighborhood work to be a voice for Precinct 7 to improve our quality of life and fairness to our residents. This includes speaking up about excessive aviation noise and pollution, excessive traffic, equity in town services, and school bus fare fairness. In the past, I was a town meeting member and your Logan and Massport Community Advisory representative. Diversity of opinions often is not allowed in our current town government, and that must change. I've been mowed down many times because I speak up, and I know many of you here tonight have been mowed down too. But don't let anyone silence you. Please vote. As we saw in the recent election, voting is a great way to have our voices heard.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being with us tonight, and thanks to the East Milton Neighborhood Association for this important opportunity. I'm Sheila Dunphy. I'm excited to be running for re-election as one of your Precinct 7 town meeting members. I live on Howe Street with my husband and daughter. She is a third grader at Collicott. I bring a 20-year dual career as a financial services leader and a university adjunct educator to town meeting. And I'm eager to continue to bring the skills that make me successful in these roles, such as encouraging creative thinking, building relationships, and pursuing fiscal responsibility. I'm always happy to chat with you, and I respectfully ask for your vote on Election Day. Thank you.
Nice job. Hi, I'm Tim Lombard. As a proud resident of Milton for the past decade and a parent with children attending Collicott School, I stand before you today with a deep commitment to our community's well-being, particularly in the realm of education. For 5 years, I've dedicated myself to serving on the Milton School Building Committee, utilizing my professional expertise in building and planning to address the critical issue of school overcrowding. Together, we're working tirelessly to ensure a conducive learning environment for all our children. I believe in transparent and accountable leadership, and I promise to ensure that your concerns are heard and addressed. Furthermore, as a parent deeply invested in our schools, I understand the importance of collaboration in shaping our community's future. I value unity, and I'm committed to fostering cooperation among all stakeholders. I'm committed to navigating the complexities of local governance and steering Milton toward a bright future. Therefore, I ask for your support in the upcoming town election. Please consider casting one of your votes for me, Tim Lombard, as your town meeting member. Together, let's continue building a community where every voice matters and every resident can thrive. Thank you for your trust and support.
So my name is Joan Paul, and I've lived on Granite Ave for the last 37 years with my husband Greg, and we're the proud parents of two daughters who are Milton Public School graduates. I'm a hired nurse and nurse educator, and I came into this job interview because I'm looking to give back to the community. I've been knocking on doors as part of the no vote, first to get signatures for the referendum, and I've heard so much from so many people, some good ideas, some concerns, but also I became aware that a lot of people are not aware of what, the Article 1 and a lot of what's going on in town. As a nurse, part of what we do is we make sure that we listen to people actively and help collaborate with them to solve problems. And I will look forward to doing that if you elect me as one of your 9 votes for a town meeting member. Thank you.
My name is Tommy. I have the loudest voice in the neighborhood. They can hear me whenever I'm barbecuing, so I'm going to forego the microphone. My name is Mark Croninger. I live on Melbourne Road, about 4 blocks away from here. Lived there for 26 years. I raised 2 sons there with my wife Erin, Wes and Cole, who who went to Milton Public Schools and high school and graduated and live in Boston now, but come back home and drink my beer and eat for free. But my background is I was in the communications industry for my career. I worked at just 108 FM. Yes, I know Maddie in the morning. I also worked at WSBK TV 38, where I was a marketing director, and I spent almost 20 years at Comcast in marketing. What do I bring to the table? Some of you might recognize me. I banged on a lot of doors in this neighborhood as part of the leadership group for the Vote No. Campaign. I think that is a ham-handed mess of a law, and I think the way the plan went down was very unfair to this part of town. Living here for 26 years, I'm all into Milton. I love this town, but I also think sometimes we're the forgotten part of town, and sometimes almost treated like a second-class part of town. If I get your vote, you can be sure that this loud, strong, maybe annoying voice will make our voices heard at town meeting and anywhere they need to be. And please wrap up. But thank you, Mark Croninger, probably the only German name on a slate of Irish names on that ballot. Easy to remember. Cheers, everybody.
That's a heck of a speech to follow up on. Hi everyone, I'm Sean Bentley. I live on Howe Street, another neighbor, and I'm a lifelong Precinct 7 resident and a Milton High and St. Anselm College graduate. I have always been engaged in public service, including interning with a U.S. Senator and with our own Senator, Walter Timilty. But this race is not about me, it's about you. I'm running because I want to give back to the town that has given me every opportunity and to represent the views of Precinct 7. I support sensible, affordable housing that is consistent with the fabric of Milton's neighborhoods and aligns with how residents overwhelmingly voted a few months ago. I support zoning that is friendly to our businesses and that will ease congestion in East Milton. And as someone who went through grades K to 12 at Milton Public Schools, had learning disabilities that MPS helped me get through, and has family in the school district, you better believe I'll support our schools. And I would love to hear how I can best represent Precinct 7, so please be sure to say hi to me tonight, or email me anytime at bentley4milton@gmail.com. I would be most grateful if you would vote Sean Bentley for Precinct 7 town meeting member. Thank you very much.
It's a tough act to follow. Good evening, everybody. It's great to be with you here tonight. My name is Kevin Chisholm Jr., proud resident of the small but mighty, I will say that, small but mighty Cortlandt Circle neighborhood, and it's great to be here, and I want to thank the East Milton Neighborhood Association for putting on an excellent forum. And it brings me back a little bit. It was about 7 years ago I was here when my own father was running for re-election as park commissioner at this very forum, and he stood in my place where we are now. And it was East Milton that propelled him to victory in that race, and he's here tonight with us and doing an excellent job as our parks director here in town, along with my wonderful mother, Amy, who does a wonderful job as the director of early childhood over at St. Agatha's. And for all the candidates running, we all know it's about family in these races, that is for sure. But as I mentioned, I'm a resident, a lifelong town of Milton, a lifelong resident of the town of Milton, and a resident of the Cortlandt Circle neighborhood. I believe that Milton is all about strong neighborhood representation, and that is what I will bring to you if I'm elected as your town meeting representative here in Precinct 7. East Milton leads the way when it comes to strong neighborhood representation. We need responsible zoning. As a resident of Cortlandt Circle, I can't get out of my street on a good day. And when I found out that potentially 500 plus units were going to be placed directly across from where I lived, we stood up and we said no. And we will continue that until we have a plan in place that is going to affect positive change for my neighborhood, Cortlandt Circle, Thistle Ave, Riverside Ave, Whitman, and the rest as well. I'm a graduate of St. Agatha's and BC High. I'd be honored to have your vote on Tuesday, April 30th. Kevin Chisholm Jr. Thank you all.
My name is Brian Kelly. I've been a town meeting for almost 20 years, and I'm going to talk fast. No, it's not over. This is the biggest issue facing Milton since I moved here in 1986. It's not a joke. If John wins, he will tip the balance on the board. If he loses, the yes votes will be dictating the voice of the town during litigation. This board will have to respond to the court's decision. I want a no board, not a yes board, responding to that decision. Why I fought for the no vote alongside John Cohane. Because less is more. Less crowding, more learning in our schools. Less financial strain on our town budget. More money for schools. Less pressure on police and fire. More timely responses to 911. Less damage to our environment. More climate-friendly buildings. Less traffic in all our neighborhoods. Better quality of life. Less market rate. More affordable housing. Less chance your neighbors and friends will move out of Milton. More joy. Less competition for fewer jobs. More security. Less chance that you will lose equity on your home you worked so hard to purchase and maintain. More value when you downsize to supplement your retirement. Less anger among citizens. More love. Vote Gentle Giant John Cohane for Select Board and Meredith Hall for Planning Board April 30th. Together, we can make it better.
All right, I'm back. This time, Christopher Shirley, it's just my voice on this mic. Christopher Shirley emailed a little while ago that he has the flu, so I'm going to quickly read his email. He says he's a 14-year resident of Milton, a former town meeting member, 2011 to 2016. He would like more representation for Cortland, Thistle, as well as Granite Ave after last year's MBTA Select Board debacle. One more no vote on town meeting to get a more representative body of the town overall. Looking through the list of candidates for town meeting in P7, it's encouraging to see so many like-minded voters I've gotten to know during the MBTA fight, attending events and holding signs with. No matter what happens on 430, East Milton should be proud of the continued call to service from its residents on behalf of this town and their neighbors. We're all better for it. He then goes on to support John Cohane and Meredith Hall and says, thanks for the opportunity, and I hope tonight's dialogue with everyone provides beneficial for East Milton. So once again, that was Christopher Shirley. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna try to talk softer. How awesome is it that we have all these amazing candidates running for town meeting? Isn't that great? One last time. Thank you for all what you do. Just want to take a moment. There's some folks that are running uncontested, but I would still like to just take a quick second to recognize them. Susan Galvin, our town clerk, is here someplace. I'd also like to recognize if I pronounce the name wrong, I'm very sorry. Like for Board of Assessors, C. Robert Reitz, who's not here this evening. I'd also like to recognize for Board of Health, Laura T. Richards, who's also an incumbent, who unfortunately couldn't make it. And then we've got some folks from the trustees of the public library. Is there anyone here from the library this evening? Awesome. And so if Jamie, if you want to come up, you're good. Jamie's running. Also running is Paul Sitton Hayes, who's an incumbent. We've got Jamie Lee Lavesh, who's here, also an incumbent, and we've got Susan Edith Doyle. Would you like to say anything, Susan?
Good evening, and thank you to the EMNA for holding this forum tonight. I see a lot of students who are at the Glover School when I was there, and parents. Go, Sean. But good evening to everyone, and my name, in case you don't know, is Susan Doyle, and I'm a candidate for one of 3 positions to be elected as a trustee of the Milton Public Library. And for the past 3 years, I volunteered as a friend of the Milton Public Library. And through this experience, I've witnessed firsthand what a true community builder the Milton Public Library is. And for that reason, I want to be a part of that community building. I have lived in Precinct 7 for the past 25 years. Hardly seems possible. And my husband, Arthur, who introduced me to Milton, because I'm a Jersey girl, and I'm waiting for the DU return here, where he had previously resided. We have 3 adult children, all of whom completed Milton High School. My educational experience includes an undergraduate degree from Gloucester State College in New Jersey. I'm a Jersey girl. now Massachusetts girl, and a graduate degree from the University of Denver. Go DU in the Frozen Four. Does anybody know the score? No, I'm waiting for it. Professionally, I taught and coached at a middle school in New Jersey and became the department chairperson. I also taught and did research while at the University of Denver. I went on to be an admissions administrator at Rowan University in New Jersey. And upon locating to Milton, I worked for 17 years in the Milton Public Schools at Cunningham and Glover Schools. Additionally, I have been a docent for the past 5 years at the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum at Columbia Point in Boston. My volunteer experience with libraries began with the Ridgewood Public Library in Bergen County, New Jersey, where I volunteered and served as a chairperson for the Roads to Learning initiative created by the National Library Association. And this initiative was to bring into public libraries information, and I'll be wrapping it up, about learning disabilities to the general public, and that was in 1996 to 2001 when it was already done. The Ridgewood Initiative was the most successful program in the United States, and we were asked to present at the National Library Association. A few words about the library. Go to Milton PS Library. Go to MiltonPublicLibrary.org. The resources are for all ages, and a whole new world will open to you. Thank you.
She's right, our libraries are amazing. I'd also like to recognize Joseph M. Reeder, who's running for trustee of cemetery. I believe Joe's not here this evening, correct? He had a conflict? Okay. And then one last one, Housing Authority, Lee B. Carey. Is Lee here? Go Fish? Okay. All right, so now we transition over to our select board. As you know, there is one seat available. We have one incumbent, and it's a 3-year term. I'd like to invite Michael Zulis, incumbent, to come up and address the crowd for 4 minutes, if that's okay. Mike? Yeah, come on up. Sorry.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Thank you to the East Milton Neighborhood Association, and thank you all for coming. The most important thing you need to know about me is my wife, Mariani, who's sitting in the third row there. My wife is gives free yoga classes at the Milton Library, so you should check it out on periodic Saturday mornings. You can do that. My wife and I, Mariani and I, have 2 daughters. One daughter who's in the high school, and one daughter who is at Pierce Middle School. In my professional life, I've been a lawyer for nearly 35 years. I'm currently managing partner of a law firm in Boston with 53 lawyers and 88 employees. I've served in many different roles as a lawyer over the last 35 years. I've been a public corruption prosecutor, I've been an in-house general counsel, I've been a litigator, and I've been a corporate lawyer. I've been involved in town government here in Milton for most of the past 14 years. I've served on many different committees. I've served on the warrant committee, I've served on the school committee, including as the chair, and I've served on the select board. I also served as president of the Milton Library Foundation. And with that background, with the time that I have, I want to address 2 things. First, the MBTA Communities Act, and second, the role of the select board member as I see it. Now, I believe we are moving forward as one community on the MBTA Communities Act. Since the election, I have tried to protect the best interests of the town and act on the will of the voters. And the way I've done that is I found the best legal representation possible, and we've moved forward with that legal team to represent the town. I've worked with that legal team to prepare our opposition. It is an opposition that covers the town's position on every issue. It is an opposition that has been filed with the Supreme Judicial Court. It is the position of the town. It is what we are committed to. It is what I am committed to. That will play out over the next several months. There will be an oral argument in October, and then the court will decide. I believe we are past our disagreement on this issue. Part of what tells me that is that so many people who disagreed with me on that issue are now supporting my campaign, including the #1 contributor to my campaign. So I believe that shows that we are moving forward as one community and one united town as part of under the MBTA Communities Act. Now, second, the role of the select board member. To me, it's pretty simple. The role of the select board member is to listen to our neighbors and try to solve their problems and meet their needs. Now, because we're in East Milton, I'll talk about some of the ways I've tried to do that in East Milton over the last 3 years. For example, 1 minute. When East Milton Neighborhood Association called and needed support on 440 Granite Avenue, the 440 Granite Avenue project, I stood with the neighborhood. When the DOT, the Department of Transportation, removed parking spaces as part of the project, I fought to get many of those parking spaces put back in. When Mary Ellen DeMays called because she lost the parking space in front of the rugby building, I got the Department of Transportation and the DPW out there at 7 in the morning, and we got that parking space put back in. When Jimmy Coyne called and talked about the deficiencies on the deck, 30 seconds, we went out and took pictures on the deck, and I sent them into the Secretary of Transportation, and we got those deficiencies fixed. When East Milton businesses were hurting, I got ARPA funds to all of the East Milton businesses. When Rich Beeler called me a few months ago and said, we needed another bus in East Milton, it was my idea to use ARPA funds to get another bus in East Milton. That's what I've tried to do. One other thing, about 1.5 years, I got a call from a man named John Cohane, and he wanted to know about town government, and so we spent about 1.5 hours having coffee together, and maybe I told him a little bit too much about town government when we did that. I try to listen to our neighbors, or wrap up. I try to listen to the neighbors, I try to solve problems, and that's what the role of the select board member is about. I appreciate your time, and I'd appreciate the opportunity to try to help people for the next 3 years. Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Okay. I'd like to invite John Kehane up, please, for 4 minutes.
And the East Milton Neighborhood Association for holding this event and for standing up for our neighborhood, not just tonight, but always. I would also like to thank you, especially those of you who worked closely during the No for Milton campaign. As a result, I have a great new group of friends and a new appreciation for the wonderful people here in Milton. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sean Cohane and I'm running for Milton Select Board, and I appreciate your vote. I'm here tonight to ask you for your support to allow me to represent you on the select board, because recently I did not feel that we were properly represented, particularly with regards to the MBTA Act. Our actions since its adoption by town meeting back in December have proved that to be true. We gathered 3,000 signatures when only 1,100 were needed. We forced a referendum vote where a strong majority of Milton voters agreed, and it is now critically important that we show our legal representation and the state that we are still in this. We need to continue to maintain our small town charm, which is why many of us moved here, and many of others have chosen to stay. I think my main qualification is who I am, and that is someone who can calmly reason, and that I'm in it for our town only. I have no aspirations beyond the select board. In fact, win or lose, I will continue to fight for our town. My wife and I are months away from retirement. We love it here. We want to stay here. I'm a lifetime small business owner, first as a residential contractor. In fact, I built several homes here in Milton. I'm now a code compliant energy consultant. I know the industry intimately, and I feel that knowledge will serve us well in this fight. More importantly, I have four grandchildren, 2 of them in the Milton school system, who I love dearly. Our problems will take time to resolve, and I'm giving Milton that time. We have great people in town with incredible expertise and varied experiences. I want to utilize them and honor these different voices. Together we can draw on our strengths, create improvements for the solutions and challenges ahead. We as a town need to work to meet in the middle and pull together. Issues evolve, and it is important for our thinking and leadership to evolve as well. We are making decisions that will affect future generations, mine and yours, children. Let us make good decisions for them. As to the MBTA Act, I've heard it said from our town officials not to worry about the implications of by right multifamily zoning mandated by the MBTA Act. It won't happen all at once. That's not a good plan. It's clear that at some point, when it does what it was designed to do, it will bring 2,500 new homes, the school children and traffic to go with it to our town. We need to be thinking ahead and consider all that it will be. And there could be other plans coming down from the federal government that will make it even more so important to us. Here's what I'm committed to do in that regard. I plan to listen to the citizens of Milton. We must fight for reclassification. And we make this truly affordable housing plan, the percentage of affordable units must increase to 15% mandatory. Thank you very much.
Okay. You both gave great answers, so I had to change up my questions a little bit here. Thank you for that. Some questions for you, and I think I may have heard the answer there from John, but you know, when you think back to successful organizations where they work, they're able to build team of teams, right? To bring together people who don't necessarily have like-minded approaches to things, but they work together, they coalesce, they build strategies together. It's very successful, and there's several examples out there. So I have a question for both candidates, and they'll each have 2 minutes to give you a response, and then I think Christine and I, then they can respond to the other person, and we'll take it from there, I guess. But the question I would have for you is, you know, how do you plan to successfully work with town residents, state officials, and partner with the planning board to create a successful outcome for the town's response to the MBTA communities? And since I let you go first, Mike, is it okay if I let John go first?
Of course, I said most of it already, but I think one of the critical things that we need to do is we need to send a message to the state. And that message is that we are going to continue this fight. And I believe that voting for me and getting me as a select board member will be the strongest message we can send to them. If Michael is reelected, it's the same thing over again as we had before, and no message is sent. You know, forgive me, Mike, but, you know, is the person that was here before the no vote gone, or is that person still here? And do we want to take a chance with something as important as this? We need to fight for reclassification, and we need to show our lawyers that we stand 100% behind them. And I believe that that is something that I can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Well, we've already put together a very strong, in fact, the strongest arguments that we could on all of the issues, on reclassification, on the guidelines, on enforcement. And we have those, we're committed to that. That's already been filed. And that's the position of the town, and that's the position the town's going to make. And I've worked together on the board with our lawyers and with Richard Wells and Roxanne Musto in order to make sure we have the strongest possible position. It's already been done. It's already been filed. And that's what we're committed to. So in terms of working together, though, working together is something that, you know, I've had the opportunity to do over the last 14 years, both on the warrant committee and the school committee and on the select board. And on this issue in particular, there was one time when we were all unanimous. And that was when I put together all the arguments and all the support for reclassification back in September. It was unanimous in the select board. It was fully supported by the planning board members. It was rejected by the state, but we had unanimity. We had the concerted effort to try to do that. And so I've been able to do that before on a lot of different issues. I think I can do it again. I've already shown that we can do it on this issue. We're gonna move forward with this. We've hired the best lawyers. I have the experience of being a lawyer for 35 years, so I think I can add some value to that. I've already added value to that in the last 2 months. And so, I, as the only lawyer who's on the board and the only lawyer who's on any of the boards in town government, I think it's important to have me there so I can add value. We know what the course is, we know what the direction is, and that's the course we're going to follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that, and appreciate your kindness in answering those questions. You know, I have one last question for both of you. Something and if you were to look out at the end of your first year, assuming one of you gets elected, you look out at the end of your first year in service, what will be the top 3 accomplishments for you in relation to the town of Milton? And Mike, I'll call you back up first since we went first there. It's like kickball.
Thanks, Steve. The top 3 accomplishments a year from today. A year from today, the court will have decided and we will have moved forward and resolved the MBTA Communities Act. That's what we need to do as a community. We need to come together to do that. In order to do that, we need to be led by the planning board, because for the next 2 years, the only way to get a zoning like this under the law is to have the planning board put it forward and consent to it. The only other way to do it is to have something substantially different, and we don't really know what that means, and it wouldn't make any sense to try to do it. So we need to get this issue resolved. We need to have the planning board lead the effort to get it resolved, and I hope in a year we'll have it resolved. Second, we need to move forward with a new school. The schools are overcrowded. All you need to do is go to Cunningham, Collycott, or Pierce, and you'll see that the schools are overcrowded. We need to move forward with a new school. I believe, I've been on the school building committee with Tim for the last 5 years. I believe by next fall, we will have a fully baked plan for consideration by the residents that will have a full design and a full cost estimate, and I hope that the residents will consider that next fall. And third, as many have mentioned, we need to move forward on traffic. There is a model for that. The model was developed by the Traffic Mitigation Committee that I started, and then we developed a report. And the model is to have neighborhoods work with the Traffic Commission, 30 seconds, work with the neighborhoods and work with the select board and the neighborhoods and all the town government. And we did that on Governor's Road. We did that Governor's Road and Grafton and all those streets to get speed bumps and traffic monitoring. That's the model. And that's the model here in East Milton. We need a group of people to meet with the Traffic Commission about the Wood Street extension, because that was one of the hot spots that we determined when we were doing traffic mitigation. Wrap up. So the third thing is, I hope we have neighborhood groups for these hot spots in town to talk to the Traffic Commission and develop solutions for the traffic problems and the hot spots we have in town. Thanks, Steve.
See, a year from now, I think that obviously the MBTA is the elephant in the room. We have to resolve that issue. And I feel that a year from now will be the beginning of the end. If we secure the litigation, then we still have to deal with 900 units if we get the reclassification. It's still a problem for the town. And that brings me to the main issue, and that for us here is traffic. We need to deal with traffic. We're going to have to, by a year from now, we need to have some type of a town-wide plan that's in the implementation stage of how we're going to control traffic all through town. And I agree. Schools are what build a town. They are everything. Somebody my age mentioned to me, when we were younger and we had children in schools, our people supported us, and we need to support our children that are in schools. I hope that we can work towards progressing that plan to build the school. And I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, both of you, for raising your hand and running to help make the town an awesome place, even better awesome, or more awesome. There's educators here. I'm getting crucified here. I'm sorry. I'd like to now I'd like to shift gears to the school committee. This year we have 2 seats available for election, each with a 3-year term. We have one incumbent who's here this evening. As such, I'd like to invite Elizabeth Marshall Carroll up, please, for a 4 minutes, please.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you to the East Milton Neighborhood Association for hosting tonight, all of you for coming out. Thanks to all my fellow candidates. That lineup of town meeting candidates was awesome, so inspiring. So yes, I'm Lizzie Carroll. My husband James and I have 2 daughters who attend Tucker School. Annie's in 4th grade, Julia's in 1st grade. I've been a town meeting member since 2019, but I was elected to the school committee in 2021. I currently serve as school committee chair, and if you've watched any of our meetings over these past 3 years, hopefully you know that I'm open-minded, pragmatic. I'm focused on solving problems through teamwork and thinking outside the box when necessary. I'm running for re-election to assure that we seize this moment of opportunity for the Milton Public Schools. Last year, we undertook a process with a lot of community input to hire a new superintendent who would lead us into the future. We have seen this year that the person we selected, Dr. Peter Burrows, does indeed have the skills and the vision to help us realize our goals of academic excellence for all our students. He's in the process right now of building a strong new leadership team. We now have priorities recently identified through a process, again, of community input from families, students, and staff that represents a roadmap for becoming the district where every child is challenged and supported to thrive in our schools. I've spent the past 3 years working to get us to this point. We have the pieces in place and the plan for getting where we need to go. So the question now is, are we going to stay the course on this? My proven leadership will help us maintain our positive momentum to ensure we keep building on our strengths and become the district all of our kids deserve. Since 2021, Milton has elected 6 new school committee members. We've benefited from fresh ideas and diverse skill sets and perspectives. I started out as a teacher, and having taught in under-resourced, overcrowded schools, I know firsthand the challenges we're working to address here in Milton. I left the classroom, I earned my doctorate in education policy, and since then I've been a leader for 15 years in various settings. I founded and ran an interdisciplinary program within a large university where I oversaw a budget and a staff that supported hundreds of students a year. I've been a nonprofit leader for many years now, managing a budget and a team that supports thousands of educators across New England. I work every day at a nonprofit with scarce resources, so I have to be efficient and strategic with how I invest my budget and my team's time for a maximum impact. My fellow school committee members right now include a trained social worker who runs a youth development organization in Boston, a chief operating officer who oversees a $50 million budget, a graphic designer who works in communications, a teacher at one of Boston's most prestigious schools, and an MBA managing director of the largest forum for education philanthropy in the United States. As chair this year, I've harnessed the expertise of all of these great committee members, and we've been getting a lot done. We've proposed a short-term solution to our school overcrowding in the form of capital funds to renovate the 4th floor of Cunningham School, something that people said for years wouldn't be possible. We're providing more classroom space if town meeting approves that until we're able to build the new school that we need as a long-term solution to our overcrowding. As Mike mentioned, we worked with the select board to secure funding for an additional bus to clear the wait list and transport middle and high school students, including many from East Milton. These are just 2 examples of how we've worked creatively to solve problems. I've been immersed in our school budget for 3 years, and we've been able to address many pressing needs while continuing to advocate for those not yet met. If reelected, I will bring my experience back to the bargaining table as we once again bargain our union contracts next year with no one else either on school committee or in the central office who will have participated in that process for the Milton Public Schools before. I will not just be able to hit the ground running, I'm already on the ground. I'm ready to keep my sleeves rolled up, working for all of our kids. We can fulfill our promise to give every child in Milton the opportunity to thrive in school. I represent the proven leadership and commitment to ensure we follow through on that. And so I ask you for one of your 2 votes on April 30th. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I would like to invite Daniel O'Neill up, please.
First of all, I want to thank East Milton Neighborhood Association for putting this forum together. It's an important one, and I'm happy to be here. My wife and I have been living in Milton for the past 14 years, and 7 of them were here in East Milton. So we lived on Brook Road, and when my son George, who is autistic, wandered off onto Brook Road, my wife said, get me off the street, it's getting too dangerous. So I noticed very early on about my son's autism, and I'm running for him, and I'm running for your children. I bring a unique set of skills to the Milton School Committee that it doesn't have. To be honest with you, it's pretty much all big education. I'm a numbers guy. I've worked at the Massachusetts Inspector General's office as a financial investigator, conducting fraud audits, finding hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud, in waste, in duplicate spending. Currently, I'm the Chief Compliance Officer for the Massachusetts State Lottery Commission. Our revenue is about $6.1 billion, and I'm there to protect the integrity of the products and also to protect the taxpayers' dollars. That's why I'm running. I'm running for my 3 kids. Vivian is a sophomore in Milton High School. My daughter Regina is an 8th grader at the Pierce Middle School. And as I mentioned, George, he is a 5th grader at the Cunningham Elementary School. The Milton school budget, the landscape has changed dramatically since 2020. My opponent here has been on the school committee since 2001. She said that she's been immersed in the school. She has fresh ideas, but she doesn't know how to pay for them. If you just picked up the Milton Times this afternoon, you'll see the non-experience of a school board that is trying to use capital budgeted funds to pay for salaried staff positions because they had lack of oversight in using their ARPA money and using their ESSER money to basically build that funding into a budget so that these issues don't have to come up and you don't have to start choosing between an override and choosing between laying off teachers and educators. Again, a short 12 years ago, the Milton Public Schools, they were a top performing district. Now we've fallen down to currently ranked 38th in the state. That's unacceptable. You're not going to hear anybody talk about numbers here tonight because they can't. The most pressing need here in this town, and the selectmen have been talking about it, is the school budget and how to fund it. It's the most significant tax dollars that we spend. We have to account for every single one of those tax dollars spent. I go through the budget line item by line item. All I see is salaried position. I don't see a name behind it. I don't see the contract vendors that we're spending our money on. I just don't see it. I'm going to post those expenses line item by line item so you as a taxpayer can see what you're spending your money on. So I just want to wrap up by saying I'm so happy that I'm running for school committee. This is my second time running. My son looked at me and said, "Daddy, you're running again?" And I said, "Absolutely, George. Give me your vote. I humbly ask you,
April 30th. You won't regret it. Thank you.
I'd like to invite up Amanda Serio.
Thank you. Thanks to the East Milton Neighborhood Association for inviting us. I appreciate it. I was so impressed by all the people running for town meeting. I wish some of you had been helpful to help me write my opening statement. As you said, my name is Amanda Serio, and while I'm a new face to many of you, I've lived in Milton for the past 20 years with my husband Steve and our 3 boys, my stepson Jack, who is 28, and my twins Rocco and Enzo, who are 16, and yes, we're Irish. I joined Milton's amazing special needs community 13 years ago when my son was at the integrated preschool. Since then, I've served as the chair of the Milton CPAC, and I'm one of the co-founders of Milton Sports for All, which is an inclusive rec league run and founded by parents in Milton. For the past 2 years, I've been working on the warrant. I've been on the warrant committee and on the school budget subcommittee. Professionally, I'm a special education advocate, and I've gotten to meet some of you when you've reached out to ask me to weigh in on your kid's IEP or ask about services or resources if your child was recently diagnosed. Before starting my advocacy practice, I spent 25 years in the private sector where I managed accounts and oversaw the marketing for clients such as Disney, Dunkin' Donuts, JP Morgan, and Suffolk Construction. I'm running for school committee because I have personal and professional experience that I think would be valuable to Milton schools. As a parent of a child with special needs, the lack of representation for kids like mine and parents like me has been frustrating, and it's time we have a seat at the table. I've watched countless candidate forums like this, where people try to convey their understanding of our lives and our experience in special education, and frankly, all that's really shown me is they don't get it. When my son was in 3rd grade at the Glover School, we were told that they no longer had a program that could support him. So, and that we should be looking for an out-of-district placement. So that year, I put my 9-year-old, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, buck-toothed little kiddo on a van and sent him 45 minutes away to school in Rhode Island. That was 7 years ago. The only difference now is that his van ride is now an hour away and the tuition to that school is increased exponentially. There is no reason why my son or kids like him should not be able to stay in school with his friends and neighbors. We can do better, and Milton, we have to do better. As an advocate, I've had the privilege of working with students with diverse learning, social, and emotional needs, and this has provided me with valuable insight into how the right evidence-based curriculum and resources can support the growth and development of every student, not just students with special needs. All students do better when they are appropriately challenged, emotionally supported, and allowed to reach their full potential, whatever that might be. In my role on the warrant committee, I gained an understanding of the town budget process and the challenges we face in funding our schools and our town resources, given our limited sources of revenue. I understand people's concerns when the school budget increases every year. Before being on the warrant committee, I felt the same way until I understood that 85% of our school budget is staff, and with that comes annual cost of living and merit increases. As the previous candidate stated, he wants to come to the budget with a red pen at the ready. When you hear that, I want you to remember a phrase that I hold dear, which is you fund what you value. I don't think you recognize a person's worth if you're only seeing them as a line item rather than a math teacher, a speech pathologist, or a librarian. If elected to the school committee, my experience really allowed me to get right to work, and I can promise you 2 things. I will fight for an inclusive school system where all children feel challenged academically, supported emotionally, so that they leave Milton schools feeling successful. I will advocate for the school budget while recognizing the importance of balancing the financial needs of our schools and our town. So when you head to the polls on April 30th, please consider voting for Amanda Serio, and then know that you are voting for inclusion to the greatest degree possible. Thank you.
Yeah, holy cow, what a talented group of folks, right? I mean, you're so lucky. Trying to think of a pretty good question here. And I'll put this out to all 3 of the candidates here for a school committee. And then I guess we can move the select team goes from there. The town has been filling budget gaps and federal funding and free cash for the past few years. All the town departments have critical needs above their current budgets, and the schools at a minimum are in need of additional staff. For example, Pierce, the high school, as well as reading interventionalists for elementary students. It seems likely that an override is in our future. I know we don't have one this year, but it seems likely with everything coming down the pike. How do you propose we remedy the situation and more effectively plan for the future? It's kind of a long question, but essentially what I'm looking for is, what is your plan for the future, right? How do we get to where you want to take us? Because I think you all have some really great ideas. Maybe just to kind of dial in a little bit, if we could, if that's okay. Any volunteers go first? Okay. Thanks, man.
If you go first, everybody else has to think of a different answer than yours. I think one area that we could focus on, and as you can see, I'm passionate about special education, is what I referenced before. I think we need to take a holistic view of our special education program. It's very scattered. I don't think that there's a clear path from elementary school to middle school to high school so that we know where our kids are going, who it's appropriate for, what the programs are. We need to look at the student population that we have. Our needs have changed. Historically, there were a lot of kids who maybe needed more of a behavioral program. I think what we're seeing now is we need a lot more reading support. There's a lot of kids with learning disabilities such as dyslexia. So I think taking a holistic look at our student population and at our programs and determining how we can refine it and make it more efficient. And I would say, and look at the student population that we have out of district and say, okay, maybe we're not bringing those kids back because they're kids and we're not just moving them randomly, but we're looking at the needs that are being sent out of district and say, okay, how can we begin to support those needs in district and save on that funding? Out of district placements are approximately $100,000 a year per student. Tuition is about 70, transportation is about 30. We have 62 kids out of district. So I think even just minimally getting some of those kids back would help us begin to have a real impact on the budget and support those kids by having them stay in the community with their family and their friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
The best thing about going second is that you can elaborate on such a great answer that Amanda just gave. Special ed, like I just stated, is near and dear to my heart. But unfortunately, the special education enrollment is up from 500 students last year to approximately 765 students this year. Why is that? What happened to the learning here? Why is it lost? The special ed program, it is so unique, and it's where your tax dollars, in my opinion, should be going for. When I say that I want transparency in expenses, it's not a red pen that I take. It's my heart that I take there to advocate for those children. I have a master's degree in government finance and accounting degree. I went to the best schools. I worked hard. But these young couples that come to Milton and are immersed in the special education program, they're lost. And it's a scary process because I've been there with my wife. You shouldn't have to hire an advocate to get the special needs programs and services for your child. It's just not right. It's unfair. And if you elect me, that's going to be my number one priority. No more advocates. Everything's going to be transparent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So one of the resources we have, which is a really important one for us, is that last spring we had an independent review conducted of our special education program that provided a guide, which is currently being followed by our new Director of Student Services. And, I agree. There's a lot of work that we need to do to become a more inclusive district. As I was saying, that's our goal. As far as the budget goes, you know, I think we need to keep in mind that we are in a challenging position as a town where we have a structural deficit, and this is something that we have to confront. I've heard some other candidates talking about the need to make tough choices. It was referenced that I worked to explore the option of reallocating funding from a floor scrubber and Chromebooks to a reading interventionist that our 4th and 5th graders need for next year. And I understand the reasons why that didn't ultimately make the most sense, but that's an example of making hard choices about what our needs really are, and then trying to think outside the box. We're continuing to try to do that. Milton, you know, we have 35 peer districts that are identified by the state as sharing common demographics with us. We're 3rd from the bottom in that group in terms of how much money we spend on our students. If we're talking about return on investment, Milton is punching way above its weight right now. And we need to understand that and respect our educators and what they're doing with that. We need to be looking 3 to 5 years out, and that's true. We're gonna have to have a hard conversation as a town about an override, which we haven't had since 2017. And so that is something that I'm committed to participating in. I'm in it right now. I'm in this conversation right now, and I'm, you know, not backing down from it, because we do need to be honest about the needs of our kids and what they deserve. But we do need to do that responsibly, and we need to be able to explain to our community why our students need these services and what we're going to do about it. So, you know, I hope to be able to continue in this conversation, because there's nothing more important.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the park commissioner position that's available this year. So we have 1 seat available for a 3-year term, and we have 2 candidates. I'd like to invite Robert Levesh to come up. 4 minutes, please.
Thank you. My partners say I'm usually pretty loud, so I'm going to leave the mic down. First of all, I just want to thank the East Milton Neighborhood Association, as well as the East Congregational Church, and Milton Access TV. And I just want to, wish everyone luck here who's running for town meetings. It's pretty awesome that we have so many members running this year. Just a little bit about me and my family. We moved to Milton 16 years ago. We moved right here in East Milton Square. We lived right on Granite Avenue for 12 years. And about 3 years ago, I was ready to move out of town, and my wife said, "You can't leave Milton. We have to stay in Milton." My wife, who is right here, Jamie Back, she's been a true inspiration to me. My life partner. She does a lot for this town. She's a library trustee. We're both town meeting members. She's a president of Milton Soccer, as well as a member of the Youth Task Force. We dedicate so much to this town. 2 years ago, I was appointed to the Community Preservation Committee in town by the select board, and the members of that committee elected me to chair that board. I'm really proud of the work I did on that committee. 14 applicants came to us during that inaugural year, and I'm proud to say that we funded 11 of them. 3 of them just couldn't be funded. We dedicated close to $2 million to community housing, historic preservation, and the last category, which is really important to me, is open space and recreation. We funded over $600,000 to our open space and recreational projects, and we're starting to see those projects right now. One of them that I'm really proud of is the LED lighting conversion at our high school fields. Our town softball team, as well as the Milton Parks and Rec, as well as Milton Softball, paid thousands of dollars to in electricity just for the lights there at the field. And now that they're going to LED, we're going to be able to pay pennies on the dollar. And so we will also be able to provide more access, more games, and our kids love playing under the lights. So we'll hopefully be able to play a couple more games in there. Just last year, I spearheaded a grant application with Milton Softball and Milton Babe Ruth in collaboration with the Parks and Rec Department to put in 4 new dugouts at Kelly Field. That project will be funded in May if it's approved at town meeting, and that will start construction this summer. That's my record. I get things done. I work extremely hard for this town, and if you elect me on April 30th, I will continue to put my head down and work hard for this town. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you to the East Milton Neighborhood Association for hosting this event. My name is Michael Vaughn. I'm running for Park Commission. I've lived in Milton my entire life. I married a girl, Nancy White. We have 3 children, Jack, Natalie, and Nora. I was educated at Milton High School, class of 1989. Went on to Curry College, graduated class of 93 with a BA degree in business management. As a full-time student at Curry College during the day, working full-time at night at Milton High School as a custodian. I say that because it means something. It shows the hustle, the teamwork. Excuse me. I went on to I apologize. As a full-time student at Curry College during the day, working full-time at night, I paid for my collegiate experience. I then went into the real world working at a family-run logistics company. Today, I'm one of those owners of this small business. I understand the meaning of family, loyalty, hustle, and teamwork. My goal is to get elected to Park Commissioner position and listen to the needs of the citizens of Milton and try to have these needs and requests filled. What is desperately needed in our town is field space, field space, field space. Milton has a perfect opportunity to enhance one of our fields at Lower Guile. Put in a field, we don't need a parking lot. What is also on a dream sheet and wish list that I have is a recreation center similar to our neighboring town, Randolph. Wouldn't this be nice? Randolph, if you can't read it from there, but it's basically their weekly free programs. Mondays, open gym, video game club. I'm not a fan of that. Video game club. Volleyball on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, open gym, gentle yoga, and this is all free. It brings me back to my wife, who started, I don't know if anyone had heard of Girl Power Running Club in Milton. She started this program with 5 neighborhood girls, and it was a free program. Free, who doesn't? It's free. It then turned into 100 girls, and it was at Cunningham Park. So in closing, I invested in our town. I've been here my whole life. I love the parks. I want to see our parks get better, and I want to see the next generation benefit from our parks like we did. Thank you.
I too also love our parks and coach soccer and now we're in softball. I got voluntold for that earlier this week, but I'm pretty psyched about that. So I love our parks. We are so lucky. I just have, one question for each of you. Given we've talked a little bit tonight about our budgets, tough out there, how we're looking for unique ways to move money from capital budgets into, operating budgets, etc. My question for you is, and I'll start with you, Mike. If you were given $100,000 to spend on anything for the parks, where would you invest that money?
Well, to get $100,000 to invest in our parks, it's a beautiful thing. I would first start off and have a listening tour. I'd go around and talk to our Parks and Recs manager that's presently there, Kevin Prism, and also Paul Delano, and I'd say, guys, what's in your wheelhouse? What are you looking for? Are we looking for new nets? Are we looking for new fielding? What do we need? What's the want? I would listen to them. In addition, I would ask the coaches in the community and say, hey, listen, Johnny, you're in the softball, you're the baseball commissioner. What is your wish? What is your want? And after taking consensus and reports from people, then we have to make an informed decision.
So you said $100,000.
$100,000 is what I got.
Yes. How about I say you $20,000 and I talk a little bit about a plan that I see for $80,000. One project that I'd like to do right now is to really create a recreational town master plan. What I see is over a 10-year plan, really look at our field space because we need field space right now. I know how much that our programs are just, we're going to Boston, we're going to Canton at .32. In a year, we don't even know if we'll have .32. So I know how much of our resources are stressed. And I also know with being on the Community Preservation Committee, that we're going to continue to make investment here in this town, and we need to make wise investments. So to make wise investments, you need a plan. And so our town sports teams as well, just operating in silos. So I really like to collaborate with all of them. I've reached out across already to our town sports teams, reached out to our Parks and Recs department. I had breakfast with Kevin about 2 weeks ago to talk about this plan. And I've gotten support. I called our sports teams, and I'm starting to build private money. So out of that $80,000, I'm hoping to get $20,000 or $30,000 of private money to add to public money. And I think, our town's budget is so stressed enough that I would like them to continue with that money and use CPC money as well as some private money to put forth this master plan. And I think it'd be great as we go through with this 10-year master plan and really see what we can do.
Okay, thank you. So now we're on to our planning board. We have one seat available for election this year for a 3-year term with 2 candidates. Keeping with what we've in custom that we started earlier this evening, I'd like to invite Meredith Hall to the stage, please, for 4 minutes.
Sure, go ahead. No. That's great. Good evening. I'm Meredith Hall, and I'm running for re-election to the Milton Planning Board. I've lived in Milton for, almost 30 years now, raising our 3 children, and have served in many capacities in the town of Milton. I just would like to begin by saying my simple thoughts. With thoughtful yet welcoming concepts, Milton can continue to be an exemplar of town planning. Milton needs to address total needs as it increases its population and opportunities. Infrastructure, fire, police, and schools are just a few of the areas that need to be considered for a growing population. Having extensive experience working in and volunteering for organizations on behalf of Milton, I believe I bring a unique perspective and understanding for planning for Milton. As a real estate professional, I have the skills to identify housing supply, demand, and trends, as well as land opportunities that would enable us to thoughtfully and proactively plan for affordable housing and reaching our 10% goal. In adhering to Milton's master plan, I seek opportunities for historic preservation, preservation of open space, and high-quality, affordable housing. It is my goal to maintain the character of Milton while improving the quality of life for our residents. I see that we now having the Community Preservation Act as a great opportunity to help fund our most essential projects. I believe most importantly in listening to our residents and approaching planning with a thoughtful process that is transparent and provides an opportunity for all voices to be heard. For those of you who know me, I have a proven record for preserving and protecting the assets of the town. I am passionate about the opportunities to improve and revitalize our business districts in a way that is appropriate for Milton and brings your ideas to the table. I will continue to protect our town's zoning while always looking for ways to improve and update when needed. I believe that listening to our residents and creating an inclusive and transparent process is essential. And I believe with a fresh focus on thoughtful planning for affordable housing will move us towards our goal of 10%. I believe when Milton has been successful, whether building new schools, our library, and now fire stations, it is because we have come together and worked together as a town. I am grateful for this opportunity and remain deeply committed to the town of Milton. And I just would like to say that when I first ran for the Milton Planning Board, I really learned a great deal about East Milton and the fatigue that East Milton had experienced coming off a really long battle with the 40B Falcone development. I learned that what was most important was any planning that would happen in East Milton would need to, that I would need to gain the trust of the residents of East Milton. My first year coming on the planning board was the 440 Granite Ave project. And if you remember, we worked hard to reduce the size and the scale from a five-story building to a 4-story building. I then went on to work on other things, but the most important thing, because I'm running out of time, is that we absolutely get the overlay zoning right, and we get the MBTA, which I strongly opposed forwarding that to town meeting until it was fully ready. So I do intend to get that, to have that accomplished, and I'm expecting some questions on that too. So thank you so much. I respectfully ask for your vote on April 30th. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Matthew Moran, please.
Thank you, Steve. And thank you to the East Milton Neighborhood Association and all of you in the audience. My name is Matt Morong. I'm an architect with a background in planning. I'm a LEED accredited professional. That means that I'm a specialist in environmentally friendly architecture, and I practice in the public transit and transportation sectors. Local projects that you might know that I've worked on include Wollaston Station, which for the longest time was the only non-accessible red line station, and we found a way to get elevators in there. And I also worked on the Terminal E extension at Logan, the big red thing that's there now. I currently serve on the Milton School Facilities Committee, so I understand the pressure that we're under in our schools, and I've seen it firsthand. I'm running because the planning board impacts every resident of Milton every day. I feel like its importance has flown under the radar, but due to recent happenings, people are beginning to appreciate what it should be doing. Are you stuck in traffic? Is the cost of housing too high? Do you need to drive to another town to get a cup of coffee? These are all issues that the planning board can influence. I hope to bring my experience to bear on these issues to make Milton work better every day for all of our citizens. Beyond this, I believe that my specific experience, working with the public, makes me uniquely qualified at this time. The nature of my work requires responsiveness to public input. This is what I do, and I take it seriously. The planning board needs this now. We need members of the planning board who can listen to all sides of the issues in front of them and take action on this input. I believe that I have the track record to prove that I'm the candidate who can do this. There are a handful of priorities I see for the planning board. The first issue I'd like to see addressed is one that East Milton clearly has an interest in, the MBTA Communities Act. This is an issue of critical importance to the town and a topic that the planning board has been aware of for over 2 years, but in that time, never presented a workable option to the town. This issue demands rigor and urgency in the development of a plan or plans and commitment to the development of a solution. A big takeaway from the yes/no vote is that a lot of people felt that they weren't listened to. It's my hope to use my skills to open those channels of communication between citizens and the board and ensure that Milton can have a plan that complies with our charge from the state, whatever that will be, while also presenting a plan that people can feel good about. The second priority is traffic. This issue has been studied a lot, but very little action has taken place. I hear about this over and over, and we need to pressure the town to act on the studies they have developed. We must make access to local cut-throughs more difficult, but the only real solution to traffic is to minimize getting in your car in the first place. We need to incentivize development with access to public transit. I hope to encourage local retail so that neighborhoods have places to gather and get what they need without reliance on a car. East Milton is fortunate to be such a place. A seat on the Milton Planning Board would complement the commitment to public service embodied in my work. I believe that architecture and planning can make the world a better place. My work has been focused on helping people move, reducing barriers to transportation, reducing the environmental impacts of how we live, and listening to public input. With this experience and dedication, I ask for your vote on April 30th. Thank you.
All right. You know, before we go on construction sites in the morning, we often ask, how are we doing? Are we doing okay out there? All right, just doing a wellness check. We're almost there, folks. BC starts in 10 minutes. You know, if you think about it, when we do anything, there's always a goal in mind, right? If you're in any corporation, you hear it tossed around buzzword other than pivot used most is, what's our North Star? And, you know, we've heard some comments this evening around that. I think it's you know, pretty obvious what we're all, you know, concerned and talking about the MBTA, but there's a sequential set of steps that are going to happen around that too. One of the other keys, it was being the planning board's working with, and I see the planning board as just a real critical part of our community is the you know, their development of the East Milton overlay draft that's out there now. And so my question would be for Matt and Meredith would be, can you provide some perspective on the current East Milton overlay draft and if or how you would change it? And share a little bit about what your vision is for the square, please. Go with you. Is it okay, Matt?
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to answer this. You know, I had the opportunity to go to the meeting that was held by the planning board a couple weeks ago at the Milton Arts Center and see firsthand people's concerns about the East Milton overlay district. You know, the thing that jumps out at me first and foremost, I think before any development has to happen, is that people have to have trust in the town and believe that whatever is planned is going to work for them and not impact them negatively. And it's why I've really focused on traffic. You know, I heard that loud and clear at that meeting, and I've seen it firsthand myself, right? That in 9 o'clock in the morning or whenever you're leaving East Milton in the morning, it's really unbearable. And so I think that is the reason why I said that traffic is such an issue, and that having the town really take action on that is really important. I mean, I've seen it as I've been knocking your doors around your neighborhood as well, the way that cars cut through here. And that's another factor, you know, that really needs to be addressed. So it's what really struck me. And I think that once steps are taken in that direction, then we can start to look at how we expand Milton. I want to build faith back in town government. I want to build faith in the process of planning so that we can start to do things like increase development. But I think that it has to happen really carefully and with careful consideration and with considering first steps. So that's what I would like to see.
Thank you. So this is something I'm really excited about. This is the fun part about planning, and it begins with you. We have had 2 public forums so far on the overlay, the East Milton overlay zoning, really trying to work together for a vision of what can be imagined in this area. There's so much that we already love, the walkability, to the shops, to the restaurants. We have so much, but doing a mixed use where you're adding an additional residential component will only add to that. What is not only, what I learned in doing overlay zoning for the Milton Village is what's really important are the design guidelines, that you really create a vision for whatever developer comes in, that you're really painting a picture of what this could look like. That means not only height, density, we're talking about a lot of that right now, what kind of setbacks that you would have, but what I hear loud and clear is that East Milton wants to remain, we want to feel like a village, feel like a town and not a city. And we just want to, in doing that, we are, again, looking at some design standards, but things that would be enforceable as we create the vision of creating a village that's walkable, but not only aesthetically pleasing. I see it really right now needing to be more cohesive from an architectural standpoint, that the buildings all relate to one another, and that it feels like a unified village. But that not only is it aesthetic, but also that we park it, and that we have loading zones, and we have all the essential things that have been really, I think, the biggest challenges for East Milton and helping in that component. Thank you.
So, hey, we did it. We got through everybody, all right? How about that? I'll take a moment once again to thank all of you for so bravely raising your hand to help keep and make Milton the most amazing place to live, work, and play, which is our ethos here with EMNA. So thank you so much for that. We really appreciate everything you do, and thanks for being volunteers. I want to call out just one thing. I want to say hi to State Representative Bill Driscoll in the back out there. So you may have some sign-up sheets back there. I don't know if you do or not. Okay, all right. See Bill at the door. I also want to, once again thank Reverend Shelley for always being amazing. Milton Local Access to SU, they're amazing. What a great resource for our town. And also want to thank my fellow board members for all the hard work they do and just being great people. I want to invite you all to join the EMNA if you're not a member. We're always looking for amazing people like yourselves to join from P6 or P7. And also just a couple reminders on some key dates. April 19th is the last day to register to vote, so please do that. Of course, April 30th is the Milton Town election. Spring cleanup day is going to be in May. It's TBD right now, but it's actually a lot of fun. And then, of course, the annual Manning Award in the fall, which is all near and dear to our heart. And if you ever go to Crane Park, you get a chance to see the beautiful bench over there, and it's all in the park, of course, in the square. So I'm going to take a moment to say thank you for coming this evening, and go BC. See you later.